Ba-ba-da-ba,
What does it mean? Two girls with green eyes.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there. It's a pretty amazing planet we live on here, and a man would have to be some kind of fool to think we're all alone in this universe.
There is a hidden world where ancient evil weaves a modern mystery.
What's going on here? Is this some kind of
Magic. The darkest magic.
They call it Little China.
Finally, we shall bring order out of chaos.
It's where Big Trouble was waiting for Jack Burton.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
Jack?
Jack?
Jack!
They told him to go to hell.
You make one move.
And that's just where he's going.
Somebody, I don't care who, tell me what is going on.
How are you gonna spring us?
I have no idea.
Welcome back to Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest for part 2 of our 2-part review of Big Trouble in Little China. So if you haven't listened to part 1, you got some homework to do. Head on over and listen to part 1, then come back and join us for our breakdown of Big Trouble in Little China. And also welcoming back Dan Sacklunch Sekulich for this spoilery breakdown.
I'm back.
All right, let's get right into it, man.
Let me tell you something, pendejo.
Here's popcorn trivia. And I know you've got some because we talked about it last week. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't have a lot because I really tried to get the juiciest trivia that I liked the most for me. Because I've watched this many, many times. So the 3 storms were partly the inspiration for the, and partly is in quotation marks, if you're asking me, but the inspiration for the popular character of the Thunder God Raiden from Mortal Kombat fighting video game. And Lo Pan was the inspiration for the evil sorcerer Shang Tsung, for sure. I mean,
Absolutely.
The lightning and the hat. It's like exactly Raiden. It's not partly inspired. It's like copied. Get this, Jackie Chan was John Carpenter's first choice to play Wang Chi, but producer Lawrence Gordon was highly against it. Fearing Chan's English wasn't good enough after seeing his performance in Battle Creek Brawl in 1980 and The Protector from 1985. But Carpenter wanted Chan after the success of Police Story in 1985. Chan declined, which is crazy, and Dennis Dunn was cast instead.
Well, I'll follow up on that with Dennis Dunn's agent told him to take a TV movie instead, but he stuck with this.
Yeah, that's crazy. I read that too.
Chan would have been amazing, bro. That
would have elevated it.
Even without the English, it would have made it funnier.
Yeah, I mean, think about what's the one with Chris Tucker? Rush Hour. His English was not very good in that either, but it was awesome. And that was like, 8 years later?
And it made it probably a little more than 8 years. Maybe 15 years later,
but still.
Yeah, but you're on the right path, yeah. But like it would have just added to the nuance and that special flavor of Big Trouble in Little China. So,
exactly.
But that's interesting. I did not see that anywhere.
Yeah. So here's one that I thought was really cool because I always loved as a kid watching this with Lo Pan, how he, when he's Lo Pan, the supernatural Lo Pan, and he's going through walls and he's just floating and moving around. I always thought that was really cool. Well, regarding the Lo Pan marriage scene towards the end of the film, This is James Hong talking. He said that whole set with the mouth coming down the steps of the escalator, it was very dangerous. It was a very narrow escalator, as you can see in the movie, and I was on lifts, 12-inch lifts. All of a sudden, John said, "We don't have time. We've got to do it right away." I said, "Can't you get a stuntman? Get George Chung to do it. He's my stuntman." He said, No, you just got to step in and do it." So with that long robe, I tried to put it over the lifts, and when I stepped on just the part before you go down the real escalator, I said, "Oh, Lord, this is going to be my last scene." It looked like I was really fierce, but I was trembling the whole time. That's the way it was. Everything had to be real. I mean, you couldn't tell that he was like fearing for his life as he's going down the escalator.
But don't you love that about movies? Like there's just so much of when a movie is good. It doesn't matter if it's funky good and just kind of off script good. It's when they're forced to get out of their comfort zone. Mm-hmm. The talented ones, they really make a movie in those types of moments.
Well, and I feel like nowadays we don't have to get into it, but the whole everyone's doesn't want to be offended by anything and everything. But it felt like these actors are like, you know what? If I don't do this, I might not get another shot at being an actor. So I'm going to do whatever it takes because I want to sell the role or whatever it is, the character. And it's just great when they just went for it. And now I feel like there's so much safety, and which has to be there, obviously, but I just feel like it's really cool.
Well, I'll tell you, and we made reference to this in our old school podcast, but when you've got actors that are committed to that character, not Chinese writing character, but the character.
Oh, yeah.
From last week.
Yeah.
So when they throw themselves into that character, you don't need setup and backstory, because this had absolutely none, zero, zilch, not like. But
you didn't
all
need
of a sudden they're gambling, and then next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, look, I know I owe you money, but why don't you just take me to the airport? We're going to pick up my fiance." And it's like, wait a minute.
And then
where did that just come from?
And then we'll go back to our Chinese restaurant because your truck gets stolen. And then we're going to have a weird scene with all these other characters that seem like it's weird. Like Kim Cattrall just all of a sudden is just hanging out with everyone. Do we even know that she knows anybody? It's so weird.
No. Then the news reported. No, that's why I'm saying but
it doesn't matter.
It works.
Yeah.
It works because they all accept who they are and they be it. So
yeah,
I like that.
So here's something crazy that I read that I didn't know about. And so problems began to arise when John Carpenter learned that The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy that came out in 1986 featured a similar theme and was going to be released around the same time. As it happens, Carpenter was asked by Paramount Pictures to direct that film. I didn't know that. And he remarked it in an interview. He said, "How many adventure pictures dealing with Chinese mysticism have been released by the major studios in the past 20 years? And for two of them to come along at the exact same time is more than mere coincidence." So to beat the rival production of being released in theaters, Big Trouble went into production in October 1985 so that it could open in July 1986, 5 months before The Golden Child's Christmas release.
I'm glad that he didn't, because that's another great movie. Not to say that it wouldn't have been great with Carpenter directing, but
yeah. I haven't seen The Golden Child. Is that weird?
No,
I've heard it's not great.
I've seen it.
Is it good?
No, you would like it.
Okay,
you would like it.
I mean, if I like Big Trouble in China, I'm sure I would like that. It seems like this exact same movie. 100%.
Plus, it's 80s, bro. Like, Eddie Murphy, absolutely.
Maybe we'll have to put that on the list.
Yeah.
Here's one more popcorn trivia that I have. In the wedding scene where Lo Pan is putting the needle of love in Miao Yin, James Hong jabbed Susie Pie too hard, and you can see her flinch as he puts it in her. He like stabbed her. I always thought like when he was doing it, I'm like, dude, that's intense. And it turns out it was. He stabbed her.
See, like, and now once again, I'm probably gonna go watch this again so I can see all of these moments. So when we were just jumping into this, I was thinking, man, most people should listen to our first week, watch the movie,
yes, I agree,
and then listen to us. But now I'm thinking, man, like, spoilers be damned. Maybe people need to hear everything and they'll enjoy it more because they see all of these things that we're pointing out.
You can do it however you want, but all I know is I like to keep the listeners wanting more. So I split it up into 2 segments.
But do they watch it in between or after both our segments are done?
I mean,
It's tough.
I think there's an argument for either one.
So you've got one more.
No, that's all the trivia that I have.
Trivia.
I was going to go directly into beef. So if you have any trivia that we miss, got to hit it now before the beef gets laid out.
Okay.
Because I got three. I got some 3 big beefs.
But wait a minute. You were talking about Chinese characters.
Oh,
and we thought we had the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
So we were talking about the lieutenants earlier, and you were talking about the one, the lieutenant that Raiden from Mortal Kombat was based off of. Mm-hmm. When his character in the movie is killed, a bunch of lightning goes around the hole that he drops through, and then some Chinese writing characters show up.
Yeah.
And they spell what?
Isn't it Carpenter, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't notice that even after I read it because I was preparing and then I watched it and I couldn't see it. I had to go back and like screenshot so I could see it but it's there. It's right at the end.
Right. Like I try to and I have an 11-month-old, so I have to break these movies up usually. And so when I get an opportunity in between, I try to look some stuff up, and luckily I looked that particular piece up and clear as day it has cool. that writing.
That's
so
rad.
that was pretty cool. One other actually I'll throw 2 other pieces of trivia because one I think is funny and another one you referenced budget earlier.
Yeah, give it to me.
So this is funny too because the whole movie I'm watching Russell and I'm like, man, those boots are so terrible. They're freaking awesome. Like they're so bad that I love them and I want them and I would probably wear them if I had access to those particular boots.
Yeah.
And it was his idea to wear them and he had them specially made in Aspen, Colorado.
That's awesome.
So that was one that I absolutely loved. And then you talked about budget, and you might know this one. With a $20 million budget, what I'm about to talk about is crazy. But we talked about budget. We talked about the special effects and kind of these beasts in there. The eyeball-covered floating head.
Yes. That
cost $130,770 to make.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome! It's worth every penny, man. It's the coolest thing.
Absolutely is.
He has like great expressions. He gives
Kurt Russell's reaction to it's great too.
Yeah, it's so great. Every time that eyeball brain thing is on screen, it's like captivating.
The visual effects producer actually kept one of the green eyeballs.
Oh man, that's dope.
as a souvenir. And something else. This is gonna sound weird, but I actually tried to find this because I don't think I've ever met an Asian with green eyes. So I tried to see if it's indeed factual that there are Asians with green eyes.
Well,
and
go ahead.
Of course, there has to be.
There has
right?
to be.
One article that I read was if you track the lineage back, then there was an introduction of a foreign body, so to
Foreign
speak.
seed.
Yes. So that's why there would be green eyes. And then there was another article, and I don't know if any of this is true. Okay. So
Everything on the internet
we don't
is
need
true.
to fact check this, right? If you read it on the internet, it is absolutely
all true.
True. So
Especially if
there's
you
some-
read it on Facebook, it's true on there as well.
Yeah, because Facebook are the curators of truth.
Or Meta, I should say.
Meta, whatever it is. But there's some island where somehow, some way, the breeding, they're all blonde-haired, blue-eyed Asians.
What?
Some island near China or some remote location in China, some village, something like that. But I didn't have enough time to verify all of this.
Wow,
But I
that's a
found those
hot
interesting.
take, dude. A secret village of man, that's crazy, dude. I don't know. We'll have to leave that to
We'll leave it to the listeners to
Yeah.
go and do their research.
We'll leave that to marinate for the popcorn puzzles that never get solved.
Yeah.
Speaking of categories, let's get into the beefs.
Where's the beef? Hey, where's the beef?
So I only have 3 beefs, and I distilled these down because I really love this movie. But my top beef is, although Kurt Russell was Carpenter's only choice for the lead role, the studio suggested Jack Nicholson or Clint Eastwood.
No.
Once they proved unavailable, Carpenter was able to cast Russell who he wanted for anyway. Like, get out of here, man. Just let the guy use whoever he wants. He knows Kurt's going to do a great job.
And he knows the movie he wants to make. So, like, anytime a studio's insistent on the star, it makes zero sense.
Yeah.
But I'll add to that beef.
Okay.
In saying that I wish I had more Kurt Russell in the movie. I think that's probably my only problem with it.
You know why he's not in it more?
Why?
Because the whole story, and I mentioned this last week, where it was set in the 1880s in like the Old West. Well, it was really, the main character was Wang. He was, and he is the main character of the movie.
Right.
And what happened was the studios were like, hey, we can't have, which is super racist, we can't have Wang as the main character of the show. It's got to be Jack. So they went back and John Carpenter didn't want to do this. He was adamant not to do it, but they forced him to do it. They reshot that very first scene where you see Egg Shen talk about how Jack like saved the Earth so that it would set him up as the hero and not Wang. But Wang's the hero, not Kurt. Kurt was like only a hero some of the time, but they like weaved it differently because he wasn't supposed to be the main character. That's why there's less scenes of him, because it wasn't written in the script.
I would have liked more Kurt Russell.
Oh, bro.
Like
I would like
so
more
awesome.
two more movies with Jack Burton. Give me a break, dude.
The only thing missing from Jack Burton as far as icon status would probably be a mullet. Nice flowing mullet in the back, just like wind hitting it, just flowing in the air. Jack Burton.
He kind of has a little bit of a mullet.
espousing.
He kind of has a little bit of a mullet. No?
I mean, man, if he had serious mullet, though.
Mullet.
You just
Who
remember.
says mullet, dude? Oh, jeez. All right, here's my other 2 beefs. And this actually references what you were talking about with the girls with green eyes. So the brides of Lo Pan must have green eyes. Kim Cattrall and Susie Pay both have brown eyes. They wore green contacts for the movie. And this is very obvious.
Glass.
Glass. Because Kim Cattrall was like complaining about it the whole time. They had to like stop this. They had to say, okay, when is she going to be on screen? Because she had to have 15 minutes of them in her eyes because she was weeping constantly when they were in her eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, get some green.
You could find like a
some
really green-eyed.
Yeah, we can find. You're racist against green eyes? You gotta cast the people with green eyes, not brown eyes. I don't know brown eyes.
Not like either one of them was super talented.
Yeah, I mean, does the chick that plays Mao Ying? She says like 2 words, so she'd be fine. Speaking of Kim Cattrall,
best known in this world for a penthouse spread or something like that. Hustler.
Ooh. Uh-oh. We'll leave that
That's
one
another
to
hot take.
the listeners to go look up. So speaking of Kim Cattrall, she had to leave the set every day at 4:30 p.m. She performed in a production of Anton Chekhov's Three Sisters. Cattrall remembers having to explain to the studio bosses who Chekhov was. My film career subsidized my theater career, she said. If I only did theater, I would have had to be a waitress, and I didn't want a waitress. Guess what, lady? We have to make exceptions so you can leave at 4:30 every day. We're all working here. Let's get this done. That's my beef.
The guy who played the Beast was also a diva, they say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's like the lowest guy. It's like, hey, you guys, I'm only going to be in this soup for 3 hours and then I'm out. So you better get what you.
Between takes, where's my fanners?
Yeah.
Where's the fanners? Get the fan on me.
I bet it was miserable though, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
that guy's got to be.
He couldn't move his arms because the Beast's arms were so long, and then he wasn't tall enough, and so his head sat below the head.
Oh yeah, it looked like
Beast.
it. Yeah, because it was like all janky.
Yeah. So, and then the part where he lands in the garbage, he said, I won't do it. You've got to add more padding.
Oh no.
And they added like more padding in a mattress. So, yeah, I mean, those are good beefs, right? Like,
those are my beefs. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you're coming to this, I say this probably on every single pod, but if you're coming to this movie for any sort of like historical reference or any sort of like epic, you're in the wrong place. This is a movie for people that love movies.
Yeah. All right, let's get into popcorn puzzles.
A sphincter says what? What? A sphincter says what? What? Exactly.
All right, so I only have 3 puzzles, and some of them we can solve, and some of them are unsolvable. One is Kurt Russell turned down the lead role of Connor McLeod in Highlander to appear in this film. Both movies were made and released by 20th Century Fox. So the reason why I put it in popcorn puzzles is like, I don't know, if you're Kurt Russell, I know you know John Carpenter, but you get this script of Highlander, and then you get this Big Trouble in Little China script. Like, I'm surprised. That's my puzzle. I'm surprised that he picked Big Trouble in Little China instead of Highlander.
I couldn't picture him as Highlander. Like,
no. No, but
especially at this age, like he was like, Highlander's too serious of a character.
Yeah. All right. My next puzzle also deals with Kurt Russell. He felt that the film would be hard to market, and he was correct. He said, this is a difficult picture to sell because it's hard to explain. It's a mixture of the real history of Chinatown in San Francisco, which was where we found out where it's at, blended with Chinese legend and lore. It's bizarre. There are only a handful of non-Asian actors in the cast. That's what he quotes. Him quoted saying that. It's like, oh no, dude.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of non-Asian actors in the cast. I swear it.
Yeah.
Like when they're going through and the women ninjas come out, bro.
Oh my gosh.
I swear.
That's my next puzzle. What? I don't understand. This is even when I was a kid, they go in to rescue the ladies in the weird suspended over some chasm, the like jail or the prison. Why are there only lady ninjas in there and not any dudes? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. I know the movie is crazy.
But then after they beat down the women, then the men come running.
Yeah, then all the men come at the same. It's like are only women allowed to hold the women in the jail cell? Like, it's just so weird. But
they need the purity.
Yeah, I guess. Any other puzzles for you before we get into our last category of popcorn redemption?
No, I mean, look, I threw some puzzles out a little bit early, so that's probably my bad. But
no, so no big deal. So as you remember, popcorn redemption is just things that we like about the movie. I have 3. Obviously, I like the whole movie, but here are my popcorn redemption.
I have exorcised the demons.
So this is I knew this, and I knew it again when I was a little kid and now. But the interior of Egg Chen's garage office is the Fire Station 23, which is the same interior as the fire station in Ghostbusters. And it's so cool.
I'm gonna have to watch this movie again.
It's unmistakable when they come in and Egg Chen. I mean, there's even the pole there that they use in Ghostbusters.
And you're talking about where Kurt Russell's like, this place is a pigsty.
Yeah, it's where he's getting all his gear, and then they go down the fire pole to the underground. Yeah, that's inside the same business interior as Ghostbusters.
Got it. Okay.
So the studio felt that Kurt Russell was an up-and-coming star, which is weird because they didn't want him to be in the movie. But Russell was initially not interested because he felt there was a number of different ways to approach Jack. But I didn't know if there was a way that would be interesting enough for this movie. So after talking to John Carpenter and reading the script a couple more times, he gained insight into the character and liked the notion of playing a hero who has so many faults. Jack is and isn't the hero. He falls on his ass as much as he comes through. This guy is a real blowhard. He's a lot of hot air, very self-assured, and a screw-up. Russell also commented, at heart, he thinks he's Indiana Jones, but the circumstances are always too much for him. And man, did he pull it off. And that's my redemption, man. Just Kurt Russell is the best.
I would add for redemption something that last week with your open top 5. the opening fight scene, and they're in the truck, and Jack's like, "What is this?" And the guy goes, "It's a Chinese standoff."
He's just so confused. It's so great.
The Chinese standoff. Like I've heard of a Mexican standoff, but I've never heard of a Chinese standoff.
In San Francisco, they had like wars between families and stuff. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so that was absolutely one redemption for me. And then since you talked about, like, we both agree that Kurt Russell really wasn't the main character, but they made him. And the other thing, because this goes back to a different pod that we did as well with Bloodsport. But the Chinese sidekick in the 80s, right around this time. It's so epic.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the last one I mentioned already, which Jack's boots are just epic.
They're the best. I want his T-shirt or his wife beater. I want his pants and his boots and his hair. To be honest,
you just reminded me of one more Easter egg.
Okay.
In Tarantino's movie Death Proof?
Yes. I love that movie. It's great.
They have Jack Burton's vest hanging up in either a garage of one of the characters or a bar.
No way, man. I gotta look that up. That's great. Like,
that's another thing that I read.
Speaking of Jack Burton, like, just thinking about, I distill his character into this one scene where, he's like, follow me, I'm the leader. He opens the door, and then he sees Lo Pan's whole army, and then he closes it and says, "We may be trapped." It's like the epitome of what Jack Burton is like, don't worry, I got this. Let's come here. Follow me. What looks like we're trapped.
I'll tell you the one scene that I would have loved to have watched them film is after he kisses her.
Oh, yeah.
And then he comes out of the elevator about to fight with lipstick on.
Yeah, it's so great.
My God.
Speaking
So
of kisses,
good.
too, I love that at the very end of the movie, Wang's like, aren't you going to kiss her? And he's like, nope. And he just bounces. It's so great. And you can tell she's like, Kim Cattrall's just sitting there like, oh, I want to kiss him. Oh, yeah. And he's like, nah,
Yeah.
we'll see you later.
Oh, Jack Burton.
Oh, well, I think that's a great time. Anything that we didn't touch on that we need to before we give our last review?
No, I think I'm ready for reviews.
Well, I mean, this is no surprise.
Really?
Golden Bucket, dude.
Really?
You don't think it's not? You think it's lower than a Golden Bucket?
Just barely.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but nostalgia tips it over. Jack Burton tips it over. It's just so
Jack Burton, but I needed more Jack, and I needed Moulet Jack.
I don't think you're gonna ever get the mullet Jack. Sorry, man.
No, but here's a I guess one other quick question: if instead of The Rock and instead of a remake, if Kurt Russell reprised his role as Jack Burton.
Bro, that would be the best thing that happened to my whole life would be Jack Burton reprising or Kurt Russell reprising his role as Jack Burton. That would be awesome.
It would be epic. Please. Like these are the remakes we need, man.
Please.
Because it would be so original at this point.
If you're listening, Mr. Russell, please convince someone, use some of your many dollars that you have and make this sequel.
Make it happen. Like bring your wife in and your daughter and make it a family affair.
Do it. Well,
like have it as one of your final films. Like because it would be so
that
epic.
makes me so happy, dude.
But no, like look, it's a classic. I just can't go quite.
You're 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, I think that's a great time for us to part ways. I really, this movie holds a special place in my heart, and I'm glad you guys joined us. Hit me up on the Twitters or the Instas if you want to interact with the great Popcorn Priest at Popcorn Priest. I respond to every tweet, post, comment, hashtag, and whatever else there is. Let us know if there's something you'd like us to review. Also, if you've enjoyed this or any of our previous episodes, please subscribe so you can get notifications on our newest episodes. I love movies and would love it if you would share the love. Share it. Share it with a friend. If you like this, share it with somebody. Muchas gracias. Another way to share the love is sharing those dollars. I've created a Patreon account. If you've liked anything up until this point and want to support the show so we can continue to bring you these entertaining reviews, please do so at patreon.com/Popcorn Priest. As always, thanks for listening. And thanks to my guest, Sack Lunch, Dan Sack Lunch Sekulich. Always a pleasure. Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, Dan. Love the pod. Love what you do. Love to listen and just love it all, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate you spending the time. And we'll see you guys next week on Should You Watch This with Popcorn Priest. Peace.
We'd better run it through the mystic night.